Good evening, chat. Hello. Sorry about running behind. It's entirely my fault. I did not prepare and plan ahead for time. So that is entirely my fault. I am so sorry for you guys. But you know what? It's Thursday night and it's after 9:30. So you know what? We better get this Thursday night show going. So welcome everybody to the show. You guys are new. My name is Sean, also known as Potentially Criminal. I am an attorney in the Cleveland, Ohio area, and we got some stuff to talk about tonight. And yeah, I think there's some good news. There's going to be some, a segment or two is going to be a little bit of dooming. But then after that, it's like, yeah, there is some good news, kind of some good news. But it's going to be a little hard to get to it. And I'm sure I'm sure you guys aren't going to really think it's as good as it sounds there, but I do think it's helpful. I do think it's helpful. I do think it is very helpful at the end of the day. So, where is my thing here? Hold on. Let me see here. All right, chat. So we are going to get going here. We're a couple minutes behind. River Cap says, Sean, where are you? Yes. I'm currently boomering. I'll be here shortly. Yeah. Yeah, no, it was true. It was true. And as YOT 13 says, it's after 9:30 and there's still no stream. Sandwich Man ain't streaming tonight. Fair play indeed. Fair play indeed. Will Litecoin solve all your fiscal problems? I think so, chat. I think Litecoin is the way to go going forward. But we'll see. So with that said, tonight, chat, we are live on Rumble. We are live on Twitter. We are live on YouTube. And we are also, last but not least, on Locals, guys. And if you join us over at potentiallycriminal.locals.com, it's a fun time over there. Guys, we do all kinds of fun stuff. There are things we do generally open to the public. Like last night, we did a watch party of, kind of commemorating the anniversary of Marvin Heemeyer. That's right, Uncle Marv in his rampage through Granby, Colorado. We did that. We kind of left it open for everybody. We did a little bit of stream sniping of PPP and Warski of the Keno Casino. We do a little bit of, Formula One. We do all that stuff, and that's free for everybody. We do it, and it's free for everybody. And you guys can join for free. It's no cost to join up there at potentiallycriminal.locals.com. And from there, you guys can do that. Now, if you wish to support, you can support at the rate of $3 a month. You pay for 10 months, you get 2 months free. If you weren't aware, there are 12 months in a year. And from there, chat, you get access to the limited content. There is some good content out there, some good content, and it is the live shows. We do 2 live shows a week. We do one Monday night, about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then we do one right after this show. As R. Kelly tells you, after the show, it's the after party, and after the party, well, we don't go to the hotel lobby, but it is there. It is available if you guys want to do that. I think it's a very fun time. I think it's a great opportunity for everybody to come and hang out. And if they like something going on, they can certainly take part in it however they wish. So you guys could do that over there. It's a great time. It is a great time. And even right now, there is an open live chat that's free for anybody to go hang out in. You guys can post stuff. If I can't say it here, certainly I can't show it. But if you guys post something that's really funny, I'll bring it over here. But that's over at potentiallycriminal.locals.com. If you want 1 month of free access just to try it out for yourself, use the promo code SUMMERTIME 2025, and you will. You definitely will. When am I going to paint myself as a cow? Oh, no. I saw that. I'm going to leave that to the professionals. I can't do that the way that it deserves. Uncivil Law, Kurt, guys, friend of the show, Uncivil Law. Hope you're doing well, Kurt. Guys, Kurt was on with us last Saturday, working on his watch. He was working on a watch, putting it together. Because I didn't realize they make like watch kits, which that's actually kind of a cool idea. Makes sense though. Like every other hobby out there, they have like building kits, and Kurt worked along his watch kit while I was working on the choo-choo train model. So yes, guys, we did open that up this weekend, and it was great. It was great. Kurt says you have about 20 minutes of wake hours left of me if you want to talk SCOTUS. You know what? I may you know what? I guess we'll get started and we'll get right into it. If you'd like to join me, Kurt, I'll send you a link if you can make it, but if you're too tired, I understand. But yeah, sure. Come on, I gotta figure out send message. What's that? Oh, that's a good point. It is a Thursday show. Sorry, Kurt. We don't normally do guests on Thursday show. My apologies. My producer just reminded me. I'm sorry. I got to follow my producer's lead on this. She guides me. So, we'll probably just keep going here though. Paint 'em up 2.0. Jesus. Let me see. Hold on here. What was so many people are asking? Tayo Toys says, I'm working on a pot crim F1 livery. Hot Wheels has the license. Oh, that'll be great, Phil. Hope you're doing well out there. Are you this day off doing okay for you and no care and retrial? All right, guys. So from here, though, let's get started into things. The care and retrial, it is progressing. The defense's case is moving along. They've gotten through a lot of stuff so far. They have left, from what we understand, the dog expert, their medical examiner. I believe they're going to have their phone expert still. And then they have the ARCA guys. I don't see how they're going to get done before like Thursday next week at this rate, because there's a full day of court tomorrow. They took today off because it was like 90 degrees in Boston, and that would have turned the courtroom into a sauna. So I don't know what they're going to do, because if you look at the temperature for Boston, Boston temperatures, the Boston temperatures coming up, it's not going to be good going forward. The 10-day forecast for Boston, it's going to be hot. They do have some advantages. It does seem like Monday, Tuesday, it might be the 60s. But otherwise, it's it's going to be upper 70s into the 80s. It's gonna be kind of a rough week. They're gonna get some storms too. So I don't know what they're gonna do. I just don't know what they're gonna do. And I think right now, Karen Reed, if her witnesses have done quite a bit to help her, and I think they can turn the tide here. But right now, it's going to come down to probably the ARCA guys more than anything else. They are probably going to be the ones there. So, yeah, I mean, but even then, at the end of the day, the odds are still against her, Chad. As I told you, retrials, your odds of conviction skyrocket. It's personal experience. They just go up and up and up and up. And she's still behind the curve. I don't think that she's cleared all the hurdles yet. I mean, in our mind, we know that because we've already watched this trial. We know the lore. But remember, that's not how the jury votes. So I think right now, if a jury were to vote, they'd probably convict her, at least a manslaughter. I don't think murder is going to happen, but I think manslaughter is a very real situation for her. So Katie says, I still want to see Proctor or Higgins. I don't think you're going to see them. Garrett says, I can't see people buying Hank's shit narrative. No way he gets unanimity. I mean, here's the thing. It's garbage, but do they? No, they don't. It's just like Richard Allen. I said this before. Richard Allen got convicted by a jury because they had the evidence that was in front of them. And they made a decision based on the evidence in front of them. They convicted him. And we may disagree with that, but given what they were presented with, I can't fault them for making the decision they undertook. I can't sit there and say they were wrong. I cannot sit there and say they were wrong. So, it's an entirely realistic situation. Johan Nexus says manslaughter, slay queen. Pretty much. I think they could do that. Katie says if there's anything, there's one juror who's caved and done their research online, and they will likely be a holdout. I don't know, man. Think about how big the anti-Karen Reed side of the internet is. Just as big. They might do their research and just, go the other way. No guarantees. No guarantees out there. No guarantees out there. So we shall see. We shall see. The defense is only going to call the medical examiner and ARCA. I don't know. I think they should call their phone expert. I still think they should call their phone expert, but if they're not going to, I guess that's their choice. We'll see though, guys. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for Karen. Johnny says it's going to be milder there tomorrow. Hopefully. Mike says, here's a wild idea. Why don't they fix the air conditioning? Because it's a building that's 230 years old. There's only so much they could do to the courthouse. There's only so much air conditioning you can pipe into a old building like that. And there's only so many mini splits you can put in before you start destroying the historical aspects of it. So TNN says, I'm Central Air. No, the house, the court they're dealing with was built in like 1810. It's an old building. They don't have that. And may even be older parts of it. It's a very, very old building. And you can only do so much updating. Okay. So yeah, I don't they've had 230 years to figure it out. Yeah. Walter Malone says, if I'm a juror and the state keeps me there for more than 3 days, I'm going not guilty on principle. Well, they could have got a bunch of window units. Okay, they're not white. It's just a bunch of window units, and when it starts squealing, the bailiff walks over and like smacks it on the side, and it stops. Oh, yeah. Is it an old building? It's a very, very old building. So, what did somebody send me here? Okay, what is? Okay. So with that said, guys, the other case that's ongoing right now is the Diddy trial. And this one's actually we got some things to take care of first. Stephen Cooper for 5 subs. Thank you, Stephen, for that support. Your generosity starting off tonight strong. And then Johan Naxos for 20 subs, 20 memberships, chat. Coming in here to make America green again. Praying the gray away. We can't have you in here, grays, anymore. We're going to make you green. We will crush you. We will crush this gray menace once and for all, just like some cars on a monster truck rally. There's nothing you can do to stop it, Grace. We're coming for you. You're just going to get wiped out. We will turn you into good little greens one way or another. I promise you that. It's not that you can't be here. You could stay. We're just going to make you green first. That's the only rule. And I didn't make the rules. It's just what they are. So, Johan, thank you for your support and your generosity. I appreciate it. Unforced Ego says, I am dying and wanted to watch Sean the last time, but he was late, and now I'm dead without my last wish. Rip. Hey, you know what? At least I'm there for your funeral. I can let you down one last time. Spud gun for £2 sterling. The King Sterling. He says, don't blue ball us, fat man. Well, I'm trying not to. Maddie B says, thank you for saving the show 2.0. You are our queen. No, she's not your queen. She's my queen. There is no our queen. There is no our anything. There is no shared. It's all mine. It's not yours. Just like the Cleveland Browns, yep, one more letdown. And they will. They'll let me down again this year. And they do it surprisingly gently, for given the fact I am a superly fat man. They let me down very, very gently. All right. Now, the Diddy trial, guys, there are some interesting developments in the Diddy trial. If you guys follow along with Nate, Nate Brody, Nate the lawyer, has been covering it and pointing out stuff that's going on. Joe Neerman, good logic, has actually been there covering things. And we get to some interesting things that are going on in the trial here. And this is where it starts to get interesting. Diddy is actually in trouble. Diddy might get kicked out of the courtroom. And yes, you do not have an exclusive right to be in a courtroom and be completely like, you do have rules. You have to follow decorum. You have to follow. You can't just sit there and act like a spaz. Not want to do that. You're given a little bit more leeway than just a regular person in the gallery, but you're not supposed to be able to do much more than that. And we're starting to see for Diddy, like, this is starting to be a problem. And it's not a it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing here, guys. It doesn't bode well at this point. It doesn't bode well. So it does not bode well at this point. So what's going on here? He was admonished for reacting to questioning of a witness who accused him of violence. So what happened? Well, so Diddy's sitting in court, and in a dramatic moment earlier in the day, Diddy's courtroom behavior come under scrutiny. So what happened? Well, the judge who stopped this, told him there were some problems. During this woman's questioning and, what happened here, Diddy was being enthusiastic during cross-examination. And this is a woman who accused Diddy of lifting her up onto the railing of a 17th floor balcony in a violent act of intimidation. Now, while this happened, the judge says, "I saw your client looking at the jury and nodding vigorously." You have to be careful, because the jury, like, if you're interacting with the jury, guys, you have to be careful about it. Because is a Diddy like nodding along, like, "Yeah, I'll put you all on the balcony too, motherfuckers." Like, you have to be careful if you're Diddy. How are people going to look at this? It is a rough thing. It's a shame it's not public. I know. I would have loved to have seen Diddy doing that. He says that this is unacceptable. Well, I think it's hard to determine what was actually going on there, but Diddy's attorney, because what happens is the judge addresses the attorney, and the judge asked for assurance that it wouldn't happen again. And if it continued, Diddy could get excluded from the courtroom, and that 100% could happen. If you will not follow the rules of court, you will get excluded from the courtroom. So they asked for a little bit of a break, and after Diddy returned to the courtroom, he then turned to the reporters in the gallery and nodded. He then sat down and began talking animatedly to a sketch artist before blowing her a kiss. Like, holy Jesus Christ, man. Why? 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 This is just, I don't get it. I don't get it. Yeah, so, like, I know some of you guys are asking, what would happen if you do this and you don't follow the rules? What happens if you don't follow the rules? Well, at some point, just like with Darryl Brooks, and he's a great example of it, you get removed to another room, you get to watch it on live feed, and you're stuck with it. Now, remember the Darryl Brooks case, the judge kept on bringing him back in, and that was her way of insulating the record from appellate issues. I don't think a federal judge would do that. I think with the federal judges, especially in the Southern District of New York, they're just going to say, "Get the fuck out. You ain't coming back." So Diddy has to be very, 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 very careful about this. Trump wants his rules are made to be tossed from balconies. Jesus Christ. Yes, and that's one of the things here, chat. Diddy's been accused of intimidation and a lot of other things as part of the RICO case. And this woman claims that what happened was a woman, Brianna Bongolan, who is Cassie Ventura. Remember, Cassie Ventura is the one who got drugged by her hair down the hallway. Testified that Diddy held her above a railing before throwing her onto furniture, basically saying, I could throw you over the edge. And this is the part of his RICO case. And if you guys don't remember, Nate has done a great job of breaking this down, breaking down the whole RICO issue for Diddy. You know, RICO is the racketeering, influencing corrupt organizations case. So with RICO, you have the actual offenses and you have the RICO predicate categories. Okay, so you only have to get 2 of the 8. There's a bunch of options available here. You only have to get a couple of them. But RICO predicates, include, kidnapping, arson, bribery, obstruction of justice. There was murder. Murder is typically one of them. But drug trafficking, forced labor, like these are all the predicates. The sex trafficking, the transportation for prostitution, these issues with the Mann Act right here. All this stuff. But, he's been charged with kidnapping, bribery, conspiracy, witness tampering. Like, he's got a lot of things here. Now, I think that Nate I don't know if they proved the arson for Kid Cudi, lighting his car on fire, but a bunch of these have been proved, it looks like. And Diddy's probably going away. Diddy's probably going to go away, it looks like. So Diddy is, yes, he's a baby oil for his moat. I don't know. Now, Diddy, through one of his lawyers, questioned the timing of her account. They pointed to a photo that, she said she took with her phone only hours after being attacked. The night before, Diddy was performing in New Jersey. And they're saying, they also showed a hotel bill that said was for Diddy stay in New York City that week. So they're able to they're trying to pick apart things for people here. And that becomes an issue because remember the woman saying, oh, it happened September 26th. But if Diddy's in New York, obviously he didn't do it. And, when they asked her, like, did you lie? And she's like, I can't agree with you. Now, those are helpful things, but here's the problem. This woman could say, I don't remember the date it happened, but I sure as shit remember Diddy threatened to throw me off the balcony of a fucking building. And, they once go on, and once again, we get to the common theme here of these drug-dazed sexual encounters with male escorts at hotels that resemble the ones described by Cassie Ventura. And remember, guys, these are the freak-offs. All the crazy stuff. That hotel rooms across the country with linens draped over furniture to protect it from copious amounts of baby oil. Where Diddy watched and masturbated and directed the sex acts. Once again, chat, the freak-offs were there. And she's like, it was a door that I was unable to shut for the remainder of the relationship. If that's what somebody's going to do, I think it's fair to say they're probably never going to let you close that door. They're never going to let you close that door. But yes, the trial has gone on and on and on for Diddy here. What's going on? This is the most recent stuff here for Diddy. And it looks like Diddy's going to have a rough time coming up. So, yeah, not too sure about that for the diddler there. Not too sure about that for the diddler. So I think, like I said, I think Diddy's going down. And if you guys want some really good analysis, like I said, find Joe Neerman, Good Logic. He does some pretty good analysis. It's out there. He's out there every day because he's, lives in New York City. And he can go all the time. Now, moving on from there, guys, there are some. This one I think is kind of important here. And this is the YSL trial. If you guys remember, the YSL trial is for Young Slime Life. Remember, it's the gang that Young Thug, Gunna, and all those guys were part of. Yak Gotti, the whole gang there. The whole gang there, no pun intended. They were out of Atlanta, Hot Atlanta, as the kids call it, and were accused of being a street gang, not just a bunch of rappers. And as part of this, Thug and the team were charged under basically RICO in the state of Georgia. And if you guys don't remember the RICO case in the state of Georgia, just like what happened with President Trump, a RICO case in the state of Georgia is merely two people committing a crime together. Not even agreeing to commit a crime, it's just two people commit a crime. That makes it RICO. They have a very, very vague and easily abused statute. Well, Young Thug and a lot of his compatriots in the YSL group were charged as part of an ultra-violent street gang that had been behind robbery, extortion, trafficking, prostitution, drug dealing, and murder. Not only just one murder, but a couple of murders. But at the central element of it, there was a murder they were all accused of directing and being involved in. So what happened there? Well, remember, Young Thug ended up pleading out, and he got probation. Other people had pled out and received different sentences. And then, Yak Gotti went all the way through to the end and was found not guilty of all counts. Shannon Stillwell was the other guy in the big group of people, and he got through to the end and only had a handful of counts that he got convicted of. And all those guys are doing okay. And we got to see the circus that is the criminal justice system down in Atlanta, Georgia. We got to see Judge Glanville operate like a lunatic, trying to jail Brian Steele, Young Thug's attorney, for learning of improper conduct and actions by the court. We got to see the spinelessness of the judiciary in Atlanta for refusing to do what is right when it was clearly present. Multiple abuses of civil rights protections, constitutional rights protections by the district attorney's office down there, led by one Fani Willis. Yes, that Fani Willis. You guys may have heard of her before. We saw that again and again and again and again. We even covered the issues at the Fulton County Jail, where it was so disgusting and dangerous. People have died and they were found later with flies on them because nobody checked on them. That in the Fulton County Jail, separating the cell blocks were concrete walls. And people were tunneling through these walls to go attack and try to kill people on the other side of those walls because they knew somebody who was an enemy or a snitch was in another cell block. Just the sheer insanity of what goes on in the Atlanta metropolitan area. It's sheer insanity. Sheer insanity. I mean, we learned a lot. And we learned about a lot. We learned about a lot of good attorneys, though. We learned about a lot of good attorneys. Caleb Bumpus, Brian Steele, Max Shart, Doug Weinstein, among others. Keith Adams. And there are a ton more that are out there in that area. And they did God's work dealing with weathering that storm for their clients. Well, the cases are kind of wrapping up. Now, there are still some things out there, like Antonio, the guy Monk Tonk. I think that's Antonio Sledge. His case of his, getting his probation revoked because he refused to cooperate with the prosecutors the way they wanted and basically commit perjury. That case is still ongoing. There's some other things that are out there, too. But overall, it's over now, chat. It is kind of wrapped up. And it's sad how this has ended. Yeah. So here's where we are. And Thugger Daily has done a great job of explaining what happened here. But yes, this was one of the things at the very beginning. Fani Willis and her DA's office claimed that Young Thug and YSL triggered over 50 murders. And that was from May of 2022. And that's how it started. And now, how is it going? The long-running YSL case will end without a single murder conviction. A single murder conviction. Nobody was ever convicted. Nobody was ever convicted of these murders, including the murder that was central to the YSL story and that they talked about and they had drug in multiple people for. Nobody was ever convicted of the murders. Not even Thug. They didn't even make Young Thug plea out to the murder. And he's the leader of the gang. Nobody was ever convicted of any murder. You guys saying thugger is their word. I have to say thugga. Okay, well. But that's it right there, chat. That's it. And we learned more about Fani Willis, that she had been skimming money, basically, paying her boyfriend, her beau, her paramour, Nathan Wade, nearly $1 million to do absolute bullshit work. And that was okay. And we see the records requests going on in the Fani Willis struggle with great attorneys out there. Ashley Merkin and her husband, they were a team. We learned about other ones through the Trump case, Steve Sadow, who is Trump's lawyer, and the other ones that were involved in it. Just learning about the corruption in the den of vipers. The den of vipers. And I mean, what do you say? Like, what do you say about that? Like, it's disgusting what happened here. Absolutely fucking disgusting. And it only gets better from there, chat, because Fani Willis got confronted by the news. And this is amazing. This is breathtaking here, what happens. And I think this is a great example of this, just the nerve of this woman, the gall.
Because victims of all races, of all socioeconomic status, matter. So stop talking to attorneys that don't live in Fulton at all. They live in safe neighborhoods. Their children go to safe schools. My children in these communities, they matter too.
Respectfully, Ms. Willis, I asked you about the two murder convictions that never came through. What's your message to taxpayers and to the taxpayers that may have...
My message to taxpayers is it was an amazing time. We had 19 convictions. The community is safer. We made sure...
It was an amazing time. She almost said it was an amazing experience. It's a prosecution of what you believe to be a violent street gang. It's not meant to be a trip to summer camp. There is no amazing experience. You did the work the community needed and you upheld the law. Is how you should be addressing this. But it's not safer. This is a gang of guys who triggered 50 murders. And you got a bunch of convictions and these guys get to run around on the street still. You didn't do anything to protect the community, Fani. Fani.
Sure that we got the resolutions we want. If they're unhappy with sentencing, they should elect other judges.
And you also relied heavily on the RICO law that you had
and
too.
I'm going to continue to rely on it because it works, it's effective, and it tells jurors the full message.
But other people may say with the other people that...
It didn't work, though. It didn't work. It didn't work. It didn't work at all. It did not work as intended. It didn't work at all, guys. They got a guy going to prison for 11 years. That's all they got. Remember, the ringleader of this, the big bad, the kingpin, Young Thug, out and about walking around. I mean, that's the thing here. Like, Young Thug, you know what Young Thug's up to right now? Young Thug's about to drop a new album. And he's out there fucking around, like, you know, doing his thing. Like, this is hilarious.
When do you have him come out?
This is Young Thug talking about his album coming out. Yeah, Fanny, you sure won, because Young Thug's out still dropping an album.
When do your album come out?
When do your album come out?
June 37th.
I don't know, same day type. You know what I'm saying?
June 37th. Be ready. When do your
You know, he's out here joking about June 37th. I mean, that's all they got. That's all they got on him. That's all they got on him. And she comes back in here and this guy's still roasting her. And also, I mean, is this a thing for Fanny? Why is she like, what? I don't like, it seems tacky that the dress zips in the front. I don't know. I'm not a dress man. I mean, I shouldn't be a dress man, so I don't know what the deal is here, but let's see what happens.
It wasn't
people weren't
effective.
elective as a DA.
Oh, we didn't get to hear all that. Let's hear that
Judges, like
again.
other judges.
And you also relied heavily on the RICO law that you had
And
too.
I'm going to continue to rely on it because it works, it's effective, and it tells jurors the full message.
But other people may say
It didn't. Literally, you let everybody off. You never made anybody plead to the murders. How was it effective?
with the other people that it
other
wasn't
people
effective.
weren't elective as a DA.
I mean, okay. Yas, queen. I guess Fanny's weave was unavailable for comment. Nathan Wade was unavailable for comment also. Apparently, he didn't decide to stick around for this press conference. Oh, what a goober. What a goober. This woman could put people in fucking prison. That's the scary part. This woman has the authority given to her to put people in prison. Fani Willis can lock you in a metal box. That's scary. That is a scary thing. So, did they kick Young Thug out of Fulton County? Yeah, and I mean, he's kind of out of the Atlanta metropolitan area, but you know what? Like, oh, wow, you've been exiled from your home. You're still making millions of dollars. Like, oh, no, how will I survive? Young Thug's going to be fine. Like, Fani Willis did not get the epic own on this one. She did not get the epic own. And for what? For what did we get out of all of this? What? Remember, Chad, I've told you this before. When you prosecute somebody, are we going to get anything out of it? Or are we going to get anything out of it? What do we benefit as a society from this prosecution? If convicting this person, what do we gain? What is there to get out of it? It's a simple question. It is a simple question. What did we get? I don't know what you got out of this. Some guys who are in prison for 10 years. Okay. A bunch of guys who haven't gone to prison or are only going to prison for a very short amount of time. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you got out of this, Fanny. I don't know. I really don't. Was this the proper use of judicial authority? I mean, I disagree, but what do I know? What do I know? So, and yes, if you guys were not aware, that is 11 Alive News. That's the really good news channel in Atlanta. We use them for covering the YSL trial multiple times. There are still people in the YSL case, though, that are affiliated in parts of it that are still set to go to trial. And there's still people are for this entire thing. There are people still sitting in jail over this nonsense. This is still a thing. There's all kinds of stuff that is still going on. There are still people involved in this. It's just what do you do? What do you do here when it comes to these things? And I mean, some of these guys have been sitting in prison or sitting in jail for 2.5 years now, almost 3 years. So, absolute disaster. It's a disgusting thing. And yeah, It's bad. It's bad. So, I mean, congratulations to the people, the people of Atlanta. This is what you wanted, apparently. So this is what you get. I mean, that's the sad part about this whole thing. That is the sad part about this whole thing. Fani Willis, like, the woman needs to go. The woman needs to go yesterday. But yes, it's just disgusting. I don't know how else you handle it. I don't know how else you do it. So, with that said, though, guys, like, hopefully the people who are still fighting, they do get a chance. They do get a chance to go forward. I just don't know. I just don't know what's going to happen. So there's the Young Thug saga all wrapped up for the most part. The murders, nobody got convicted of, and you're just like, well, then why do we do that? Why did we go through with it? Why did we do it? I don't know why we did it. I don't know why we did it. And I don't think anybody really knows why it happened. So just more and more and more abuses of power. More and more abuses of power. So if it makes you feel any better, chat, there you go. There you go. Not meant to be a black pill. I mean, at the end of the day, it sounds great, doesn't it? But it's still pretty dim. Pretty dim. So yeah. Bama Law says we did nothing, Sean. Yes, I agree. Kimbo says, no, Sean, it is you that should be fired. Yes. Oh. Siobhan says, shut it all down. I think that's what they clean out that office. Clean out that office. So. Oh. Yes. Well, we got to see. It's okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, is Hank Brennan going to be available to help prosecute this case? I don't know. Also, over on Rumble, looks like somebody actually is there. Logistical Nightmare. Hello. Thank you for being over there. Letting me know it works. I appreciate that. And yes, I am not going to thank you guys for dressing me up as a cow and locals. That's great. That's great. Just what I needed. Today. All right, guys. So moving on from there. Garrett says the 2A news is upcoming. Yeah, I try to, guys. We got to kind of space out the headlines a little bit. Here. So, Pepsi Man says, did Gabe Hoffman drop the dirt on Rekieta? No, he's saving that for Keanu. He will be out with Keanu Thompson on the 12th. So next week. Hold on here. What is this? So okay, that's good to know. Maddie says, do you think if Young Thug had been convicted, Trump would have pardoned him? No, there's nothing Trump can do about that because it is a state level conviction. So Trump has no authority to pardon him. He can only pardon you for offenses against the United States. So it has to be a federal case. And we're going to talk about some federal cases here coming up. So where Trump could pardon people. But he can't do that. He cannot do that. And that makes sense. And I'm glad that's the case. The president can't pardon people for state level offenses because remember, we operate under federalism. And the state should have the ability to do as they wish in certain things. And I would argue sometimes criminal justice is something they should have the right to do. The pardon power in Ohio is the exclusive role of the governor of Ohio. If Trump could come in and pardon people here in Ohio, that would almost make him like a super governor, that he could come in and do things as well. And if he's got the power to pardon people under state, he has the power to pardon or grant clemency for somebody or commute a sentence. then what other powers does Trump have over the state of Ohio that are gubernatorial or executive in nature? I hate that word, gubernatorial. It's like you're all goobers. You're all goobers running for the title of head goober. But that would give the president, I would argue, there's some sort of super governor that they can, not only over the United States, but each of the 50 states, they can now enforce typical things. So I don't know if that's something I would like. I don't know if it's something I would like. But yes, there's nothing he would be able to do about it. Now, if there's a federal case, yeah, he could immediately go in and be like, pardon, just like all the January 6ers. Hey, you're awaiting trial? Dismissed. Hey, you got convicted? Pardon. He can do it right away, the stroke of a pen. So, Super Wiener says they're all goobers. Well, yes, to be fair, they are all goobers. Fenris says Mike DeWine is a hack. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. But I will say, he did just promote somebody I know. He nominated and appointed someone to be judge that I know, an attorney I know. It's kind of cool. I'm at that stage in life where I've practiced law long enough that I've developed colleagues, and those colleagues are kind of like in my age cohort where they've been around for enough that they get to be judges now. And it's kind of cool because now you can run into them. And now I know how those old timers feel when they could go and bullshit with a judge. And I'm like, how do you develop that kind of connection? It's because it's there. So Mike DeWine did something good today or this past week. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with this week for Mike DeWine, but not every other thing. Not every other thing. So oh. So we are you are asking about let me see here. Let me see here. We got some super chat stuff to get through here. President-elect Phil Swift, who's been a member for 17 months. Thank you for the support, man. Thank you for the longevity. 17 months is a long time here, chat. We are on episode 169 of this show. Really, we are. Episode 169 of this show. 169 weeks of doing this, chat. That's crazy. When you think about it, that's funny and weird. He says, "Oh, I'm gonna come." Well, don't come. Don't come. Thank you, Phil. Sobe Liz 21, who's a Hogwarts fan. Despite all of that, this rest of this message is positive. I had a job interview today. Awesome. Congrats. I have another job interview next Thursday. Even better. Hopefully you get some competing job offers. Remember, they gave you the interview because they wouldn't give you the interview if they didn't think you'd be somebody they'd want to hire. So good luck. Hope you get some competing offers. Maybe you can pin them against each other. Good luck, Liz. All right, let's see here. KW NY New York Upstate. I don't get the KW part, but I get the New York Upstate part. Sorry, I'm messing it up if it's a joke. For $5 says Big Fani Willis will be a new OnlyFans account soon. Oh God, I hope not. Oh no, that'll be awful if she is. Jesus. Don't because somebody will eventually click on that, and that's not fair. That's not fair to the person who's actually going to have to go experience that and report back to us on it. So, no, that is not something we could do. That's not something we could do at all to a human being. So, thank you for that super chat there. BobTube says more people got off of the YSL murder charges than Friday Night Hedonism 2. I don't know how many that is, so you must be reporting from experience. I guess, once again, thank you for weathering that storm for us, Bob. Timmy Carl for $10 says, are you going to cover Logan Paul being investigated by the FBI? Well, that's something that's been going on for a while now for Logan Paul. If you guys didn't know, Logan Paul with the crypto zoo nonsense and his lawsuit with CoffeeZilla. Yeah, there's a lot that's been going on for Logan Paul. And there's all kinds of stuff that's coming out for him that's not good. And this is actually something I did cover a little while ago. And let me see if I can bring it up here. Let's see here. We gotta go back in time, chat. And this is where, hold on here. I got to find it. Yeah, here we go. And we did it right here, actually. And this is, I actually did it about 2 years ago. And it probably does require an update given what's going on here. But yeah, Logan Paul, everybody's investigating him still. That his crypto zoo is still a massive scam. And the funny thing is with them, it's not only the first time he's done it, like all they do, him and his brother, they do pump and dumps all the time. That's all these guys have done. That's all these guys have done right here. Is pump and dump scams for everything. And finally, it's good they're getting caught. How's the CoffeeZilla suit going? I can cover that. That's something we will do, Timmy. I didn't realize it's been 2 years, man. Wow. It's been 2 years since that stuff happened. And also, oh, hey, look. Back when we were actually supporting Nick. Huh. Yeah, funny how that works. So, wow. And my thumbnails were kind of shitty back then. Wow. Oh, we covered Cain Velasquez being stuck in jail. Wow, yeah, kind of interesting. Kind of interesting how stuff back then. Kind of interesting, but interesting how that goes. But yes, Timmy, we can work on doing that. Definitely. Is Clyde Coin going to be a rug pull? No, Maddie. No. And thank you for the super chat, by the way, Timmy. Is Clyde Coin still a thing? Yes. 100% Clyde Coin is still a thing. Yes. Unlike Lawson says, shows how far you have improved. I'd like to think so. But it depends who you ask. My quality is still probably not the best, depending on who you're asking. Unhung Hero for $2 says, like Phil Swift. Woo, we're calling back to some old Unhung Hero here. Yes. I'm gonna come. Hold on. I'm gonna come. Don't come. Been there, done that for 99 cents. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. The SEC is coming after Clyde Coin. No, they're not. Jim Cox says, who is Phil Swift? Phil Swift is the guy who does the Flex Seal commercials and Flex Tape and all the other Flex spray and Flex Seal line of products. So, yes, he kind of filled the void that Billy Mays left in our hearts. Stephen Cooper says, Clyde Coin is up on Rocky Top. Yes, it is. Now, Pepsi Man brings up a great question. Who do I support, Elon or Trump? Guys, this is all kayfabe right now. I can't imagine, I'm assuming this is kayfabe because this is the cringest thing ever. It's like they're both heel turning. I don't get it. This is some stuff. This is some stuff that just doesn't work, chat. It just doesn't work here. So, with that said, chat, we got another thing here. Maddie B for $2 says, suffocate Taka for life. I don't know what Taka means, but okay. And then Shredder S07 for 10 more subs, chat. Just getting after it tonight. Big frickin' support out there, chat. Are you doing your part? Are you doing your part out there to help make this chat green? Are you doing your part?
Fight for the future.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part too.
Do your part, chat. You got to look back at yourself in 20 years and say, did I do my part? Kid's going to look up at you and say, Grandpa, did you do your part in help making chat green? You're going to have to be like, son, no, I didn't. I sat there and just watched the fat man scream at the microphone. I thought that was enough. It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough, chat. Someone else has shouldered the burden for you. Pepsi Man says, chat, can we hit the goal? Yes. Shredder says, I'm doing my part. Yes, you are. You are doing your part. Oh. And then Malcolm Combs for $2 says, speaking of old, what happened to the CB Master? The CB Master, I'm not... Is that like one of those old things like CB radios or what? I'm confused. I feel like I missed a joke here. So. But thank you, Malcolm. All right, guys. Now moving on from here, this is this thing here, I think, is an actual... This is part of the Torswatts saga. And it's interesting what's happened. So this came out a couple days ago, and we're going to learn about why this is really important. But a Romanian guy pled guilty to swatting over 75 public officials, which is based... I mean, remember, we can talk about what Torswatts did or didn't do, but when they were harassing government officials and like government law enforcement agents were getting swatted, that part was kind of based. That part was kind of based. But when they started hurting other people, you're like, okay, that's not cool. That's not cool. But the parts they did do, I was like, I can kind of accept that. I can kind of accept that. So anyways, Torswatts, they were involved in swatting everybody. Not only government officials, but they went after Tim Pool. They swatted Nick Rekieta. They swatted, Patrick Tomlinson. Oh no, it's still there's a lot of theory that Patrick Tomlinson paid them or worked with them to have them swat himself. We don't really know yet. Shh, chat, no! You can't make those claims against Patrick. No. Shh. No. Don't do that. Don't say that again, chat. Shh. But it's true. Chat, no! I said no, chat. We can't say that about Patrick Tomlinson. He's a nice boy. He's just been picked on. Torswatts didn't like his pepperoni business. And also, chat, they were also involved in swatting Mr. Medicare. And just basically a lot of people they didn't like and people they wanted to fuck with. So Torswatts, and remember, we covered them already before. They were getting in all kinds of trouble. They found this, 17-year-old here in California. And it sounds like they started kind of wrapping up things from there because they uncovered the networks very quickly. They uncovered the networks very, very, very quickly. And from here, people started flipping. And this guy is, he goes by the aliases of Plank, Jonah, and Cypher, which that is cringe as all, because that's out of the Matrix. And like, you can't do that, man. You can't be cringe and use the Matrix names. Like, I'm sure he's like, I want to be Neo, but somebody else in the group already take it. Anyway, he's Tomas Zabo, and he took part in the, bogus 911 calls. He had a co-conspirator, a 21-year-old Serbian guy named Nemanja Radanovic. God, I butchered that, but Suffer Balkans. But yes, they targeted about 100 people, including members of Congress, based, governors, based, cabinet-level executive branch officials, based, state officials, based, law enforcement officials, based. But going after people like Tim Pool, not based. Going after people like Mr. Medicare, not based. But yes, they including a former U.S. president, when they falsely reported a murder at the home of the former president or vice president who's not named in the indictment. Which, once again, you think the police would know, hey, there probably really wasn't a murder, but they still showed up like tards to do it. But yes, they went after everybody. They went after both sides of the aisle. They went after everyone. They went after everyone. These are also the people who swatted Marjorie Taylor Greene, from what we understand, in and among other things. So this guy's going to be sentenced in federal court in October. And this guy got extradited from Romania, and that's the thing for him. Like, buddy, yeah, that's not how that works, dude. You're kind of screwed. You know, a lot of countries will extradite you to please the American government. So, and I do love the fact that Kash Patel said swatting will not be tolerated by the FBI. I think snipers who shoot unarmed women in the face while they're holding their baby in rural Idaho should also not be tolerated by the FBI. We should prosecute those people, Cash. You should really look into it. Lon Horiuchi, Ruby Ridge, look it up. Lon Horiuchi, Ruby Ridge, look it up. You should definitely do that. You should definitely do that too, Cash. Marjorie Taylor Sneed. Oh. Yes, and that's the thing. The farms caught a lot of shit for this. But the farms don't swat people. The farms do not swat people. Now, the funnier parts of this were Mr. Medicare. And if you guys didn't know, this is Mr. Medicare here. This is Mr. Medicare. If you weren't aware, to follow him on Twitter. This is Jim Medicare here. Moshi Moan. This is him. He doesn't follow anybody, but he has a lot of followers. This is him. And he goes, "Ow." So as a victim, he is entitled to have information about what's going on. And it's very, 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 very funny that he was able to. Was Clyde getting? Hold on. Apparently, Clyde's being a good boy, and 2.0 doesn't like it. So, but getting back to this, it's funny because Jim starts out by saying, "Hey, it's one of the guys that swatted me," and he gets to say, "Enjoy prison, stalker child." He does. I do like Kirsch's comment. Which former president's secret identity are you? And then he starts talking about it because he got information as a victim about what's going on in the case. And yes, these guys were connected to each other, but they started having they started having divisions, and they got mad at each other, and they are connected and gone after, they hacked Post and Chud Buds, and now they're going to prison. So Jim is just hilarious. He thinks it's hilarious now. And they all, and according to Jim, the information he has, which is probably true, they all literally turned over evidence and confessed all the time. So these guys just completely fell apart and got wrapped up by the feds. These hackers, the elite hackers, when time came, they weren't that elite. They were definitely hacks, though. But yes, rip Chudbuds. 07s declare. Yes. So. Yes, 5-star days, chat. 5-star days. Subliminal Trap says, a weird Kirsha response. Neat. Yes. A wild Kirsha response. Yes. And speaking of somebody who's getting all harassed and gone after by the Troons, yes, just another version of it. So you guys are yelling, telling Clyde to run. Oh. So he used to follow his next account. Yes, that is true. Is Medicare a furry? No. My Torswatts name is Italian Sub Hunter. Well, maybe. But moving on from there, guys, they talk about what happened here. The DOJ released a thing, and he pled to numerous swatting attempts. And he is. He is. And if you guys didn't realize, the time frame these guys got attacked or focused on is really only a couple of months, not even a month, really, month and a half, where they went on a massive swatting spree. And he said, I did 25 plus swattings today. And that's, there you go. So he pled guilty to 1 count of conspiracy, which is a maximum 5-year penalty. 1 count of threats involving explosives, which carries a maximum penalty of 10 years. And yeah, he's facing federal prison time. So yeah. So enjoy prison, stalker child, is all I can say. It's a very fitting thing for once. It's a very fitting thing. Pepsi Man is correct. Enjoy prison, stalker child. And Jordan Bemke says, I'm fat sweeping. I will never be accused of sweeping for fat trick. How dare you, sir? How dare you, sir? I am just very, very offended by that. Oh, hold on here. Where am I? Why is it not working here? Hold on, chat. There we go. Where is? All right, chat. So that is kind of the story of Torswatts. There'll probably be more, but yeah, the government's getting better and better at hunting these guys down. And I'm sure Jim is chuckling now. You guys want to sell Laney Coin? Well, Laney Coin doesn't like being involved too much. The offense is as a you problem, Sean. Well, I'll survive. I'll survive there. Man, I think we need Clyde's proof of life. I don't know if Clyde's going to come in here. I'll call for him real quick. Hey, Clyde. Oh, I hear click-clacks. Come here, Bubba. Come here. Come on. We're not going to yell at you, buddy. Come here. Come on, Clyde. Come here. Come on, Clyde. Clyde, come on. Hey, Clyde. Clyde, come here. Clyde, come on. Clyde, come here. Buddy, jeez Christ. You got to make me get the treats out for you? All right, fine. Come here, Clyde. Come here. You want one? Ooh. Come here, Clyde. Come here. Come on, bud. Clyde. Hey, come here, buddy. Come on. Come here, Clyde. Sorry, Chad. He's going to eat food. He's being fat. So, come here, bud. Yeah, sorry. And trainee Clyde. No, Clyde's going to eat food and gorge himself. So, oh. Nero says, I heard somewhere they were starting to fingerprint Tor browsers and updates. Well, here's the thing. Remember, Tor was developed by the Office of Naval Intelligence. So it's never actually, the government's always had their fingers in it for things. So don't ever trust it. It's government controlled too. And ED Raptor says, Clyde's fat. I mean, not yet, but I understand the sentiment. But yes, I can relate on wanting to go eat. Okay. All right, guys. So there's some news there about something that was kind of an ongoing saga for a while in how things were going here. What was I looking for? Hold on, Chad. I thought I looked into something here. I don't know. All right, guys. So now we are going to we've got another thing here, and this one is Actually, before we get too far, we do have something we do need to cover. And that is, just so you guys are aware, we have the, I gotta start shilling merch, people told me. We gotta start shilling merch. So this break here is brought to you by the Potentially Criminal merch store over on Teespring. If you guys want to take a look at it, the link is down below. You guys get your very own crack raccoons. If you like the Kieran Reed trial chat, you can do the Canton Police evidence collection kits, which are just cups. We have some old ones from other cases that we talked about before, with the case of Florida where the guy was proud of being a bondage master as he murdered gay men. We have Clyde. We have all kinds of Clyde stuff out there for you guys to take a look at. Clyde approved everything. You guys just want a Clyde paw print, you can do that. You can get a Muted and Boomered shirt. You guys can get a glass. You guys get all kinds of great stuff from me at the Teespring link below. And just so you guys know, if you guys are looking to get any of these things here, especially the Darryl Brooks stuff or the Sarah Boone things, the Sarah Boone defenses she was thinking of, do so by the end of the month, because I will be discontinuing the stuff and it'll be gone. It's like Disney. We'll put it in the Potentially Criminal vault, not to be released again for a long time. So take advantage of it while you can. Do they come in fat man sizes? I think like up to 3X. I mean, kind of, yeah. Mike says, how do I not have a physical Clyde coin for sale? I like the idea that Clyde coin's a bit of a joke. I like it better as a joke than a real thing. And the plushies, some people are helping me work on getting some plushies together. We're working on it. But for right now, it's stuff's in the works. It's actually hard to get something set up that's decent. So we're working on it. So don't you dare impending event me. Well, it's the fear of missing out. FOMO. It's FOMO, chat. It's FOMO. All right, guys. So moving on from here, I guess we'll get to this is something that this isn't an act of war. I don't know what is. I don't know what is at this point, but I don't see how this is just a oopsie poopsie moment. It's definitely not. So 2 Chinese nationals are accused of smuggling a dangerous biological pathogen into the United States. And no, Chad, it's not COVID. It's not the Wuhan flu, the Wu flu, the China virus. No, it's even worse. It's even more dastardly. They were smuggling in a fungus. And these 2 Chinese people, I don't even know I'm not wasting time to pronounce it. But they were charged with smuggling stuff into the United States. They were smuggling it through this fungus so she could study at a University of Michigan laboratory where his girlfriend worked. And the fungus causes diseases in wheat, barley, maize, and rice. It can wipe out crops and lead to vomiting liver damage if it gets into food. Gee, I wonder what things we grow in America. I wonder what we grow here in America that would be affected by this. What is the, geez, wheat. Well, we grow a lot of wheat in America. Barley, we grow barley, yeah. And we grow a lot of maize. We grow a lot of corn, chat. They're going after the corn. They want to destroy our corn harvest. These goddamn Chinese sons of bitches want to destroy our corn harvest. Yeah, this is awful. This is a real biological weapon. This is a real problem. Yes, this is a great case for banning international students. Yes, you're going to bring in some disaster I'm sure it was to study it. And I'm sure there wouldn't be a lab leak. Oh, no. How did that happen before? No. Do the Hillary Clinton thing like, wow. A lab leak. We've never had one of those before. But these people should be charged with terrorism. These people should be charged with absolute terrorism for this. Absolute terrorism. You know, it would affect a lot of things, chat. You know, because not only we don't eat all our food, we export all kinds of food. So the fungus called Fusarium graminarium is described as a potential agro-terrorist weapon, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Causes billions of dollars in economic damage every year. They also say that the one lady received her funding from the Chinese government for her research in China. And she's also a member of the Chinese Communist Party, which, I mean, a lot of people in China are. But still, motherfuckers. Very interesting. How compelling. Face the wall. No. Supermax and Florence if we're not going to drop them. If we're not going to put a bullet in them, Supermax now. These people, no. The lab this came from should get hit with a freaking tomahawk. Absolutely freaking not. Yeah, this is a grave national security concern. This really is. And you might say, wow, it's just smuggling in a fungus. Yeah, because of the damage you can cause to agriculture. You know, agricultural controls are a real thing. On The Simpsons, where they talk about Bart bringing in the bullfrog. Like, that was a real thing. Countries have suffered devastating consequences because of this stuff. So, the University of Michigan says it has not received any funding from the Chinese government. Bullshit. They don't know where the money's coming from. They don't care. But yes, this comes right before Trump says he's revoking the visas of Chinese nationals studying in the U.S. Yeah, it's great reason to get rid of them. Great reason to get rid of them. And yes, earlier this week, we covered this guy, the Chinese student at the University of Michigan, had been charged for illegally voting. So, yeah. So, just absolute garbage. Absolute garbage. But yeah, chat, don't smuggle illegal shit in like that. Don't smuggle illegal shit in like that. It's never a good idea. It's never a good idea. Ah. And then from here, guys, there is a what is this? Hold on, chat. I need to correlate some things here. All right, let me see what we got. All right. How are we looking tonight? We're doing pretty good on time. We're doing good on time here. It is really a Raymond Reddington world. Yeah, kind of. It's very weird. It's very weird out here. Ag biochemist we have a subject matter expert here. It's frustrating because it takes 6 years to develop a new wheat strain that's resistant to this new stuff. Interesting stuff there. So yeah. How do we? I don't know how you say afuera in Chinese. So, Kia Patton says the only thing Joe McCarthy was wrong about was how deep the rot was. Very true. Very true. Joe McCarthy was extremely correct. He was too correct for his own good. Also, Joe McCarthy was an alcoholic, which didn't help. So, which didn't help things, which did not help things. So, moving on from there, chat. We are going to talk about what happened out in Boulder, Colorado. There is some interesting stuff that went on in Boulder, Colorado. So there was a Some elderly Jewish people were doing a silent walk for the hostages in Gaza in their, in support of them. And a guy showed up with flammable liquid and a flamethrower and started attacking them in a firebombing attack. And yeah, this was a real thing. This is a real thing. And this is a guy who's an Egyptian national carrying around his bottles of flammable liquid. And back there is his flamethrower that he was using to spray. Here you go. Here's some of the video.
We're here, brother. We're here. We can't do nothing about that. We can't do nothing.
We can!
Not here.
You have to end Zionist!
Not here, bro.
You're not.
I'm taking video right now.
And he actually ended up lighting a couple people on fire.
He was wearing an orange suit with like something on his back.
Spraying alcohol.
Spraying alcohol, but what he did was he made it look like he was here.
He's making Molotov cocktails.
And for us,
Well, we can't do it when he's got Molotov cocktails on.
if you are fighting, you have to.
That's what he's got right here. Is Molotov cocktails.
So if you guys aren't aware, yes, this guy supports the Free Palestine. So yes, remember, chat, Free Palestine. If you purchase a Palestine of equal or greater value, you will get a Palestine free. You will get a free additional Palestine. So yes, he supports such activity. This is another view of him after he had attacked some people with the Flammenwerfer, which versed Flammen.
Just stay away. Just stay away. He's right there. He's throwing Molotov cocktails right there.
And look at this. They're stomping all over our American flag, these Zionists. They're stomping on the American flag, chat. It is funny, though. This is where having a gun would be very helpful because you could use a gun to shoot this man because he is committing violent felonies against people. Getting lit on fire is potentially deadly and is certainly serious bodily injury. But these people weren't carrying guns, and it's like, imagine that. Imagine that. So.
Where you fucking belong!
And you're going to jail, man. I don't give a fuck. You don't antagonize shit like that.
You don't yell at the bad man. What kind of gay shit is that? Don't yell at the bad man. What is this? What is this?
You caused this shit.
Right.
He's not.
Right.
You caused this shit.
I don't want to hear it.
Which it's like, wow, I think we know a guy who's a conspirator with this dude.
Everybody get back. Everybody get back. Everybody get back.
I mean, honestly, too bad nobody went over there and just started beating him to death and stomping on him. That would be the proper way to handle this.
This guy right here.
Because if people started getting beaten and attacked, this wouldn't happen. If you, regardless of who you are, when somebody attacks you and the group of you just starts river dancing the shit out of them, or he starts, if you're Jewish, starts stomping on his head like it's the glass that you wrap up in the napkin at the start of the wedding, at the end of the wedding. If he started stomping on his skull like that, this stuff would stop. It would stop. I agree the cop is on him now, but if this group had just swarmed these people and killed them, this would probably stop. Just a thought. Well, I don't move that quickly. I'd be using a gun and fucking shooting them. I don't move that quickly. I wouldn't be doing it like this. I'd be doing it differently. So there's a picture. There's a picture of it. You can see scorch marks and everything that's going on. There's a picture of his flamethrower that he was using. His Flammenwerfer. So who is this guy? Well, his name is Mohammed Sabri Soliman. You're like, oh wow, that's not that's a shocker. His name's Mohammed. You're like, yeah. It's like, well, I mean, were you really shocked? Because I wasn't. So on June 1st in Boulder, what did he do in the District of Colorado? He did some things here. So he got charged with a hate crime involving actual perceived race, religion, or national origin. I still think hate crime legislation is bullshit and nonsense. But right now it is what it is. I mean, there's certainly what you can do is charge him with, and he's been charged now for injuring, nearly 20 people using Molotov cocktails and bombs in the commission of terrorism and crimes. So it's going to be good. It's going to be good for him. He's going to be going away probably forever, which, yeah, couldn't happen to a nicer guy. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. If you haven't seen here's a picture of him now. That's a spit hood he's got on his head. They pulled up, but they are immediately going to yank over him when they're transporting him. So he is ran around burning 8 people, injuring a couple more. And yeah. So good for him. Good for him. He is going to be going away for a while. And as they talk about what happened here, they have the FBI talking about what they did as far as what they looked into here. And they talk about the probable cause here. So an organization called Run for Their Lives does weekly walks across the U.S. to call attention to the hostages in Gaza. So as this was happening, they were just doing their walk. And he threw 2 lit Molotovs at individuals participating. After that, he kept on chanting about Free Palestine. And when he threw the Molotovs, they ignited on the crowd of people. And they found a black container with the yellow top. So they found basically like a big, oh God, what do you call those? Just a big plastic bin, a big Tupperware bin. And what did they find? There were 14 unlit Molotovs of glass wine bottles and ball jars containing clear liquid and red rags hanging on the bottles. Remember, chat, that's not how you do a Molotov. We talked about it before. You got to do it in the traditions of the Finns. You need an external flame and smash the glass open. Can't do that. Can't do that. Near the black container was a weed sprayer containing a flammable substance. The clear liquid in the bottles and the weed sprayer were determined to be 87 octane gasoline, which was determined to contain xylene based on a field test. It's like, now it is funny because it's like this guy is a man of many contradictions. Drives a Toyota Prius. Inside the car was red material consistent with the rags that were there. A gas container, paperwork with the words Israel, Palestine, and USAID. Now, what happened? So he got Mirandized, and he decided to talk to the cops. During the interview, he said he researched how to make Molotovs on YouTube, purchased the ingredients to do so, and constructed them. Chat, do not use YouTube as how to make a Molotov cocktail. Remember, we've gone over this before. You use diesel and pine tar, gives you the long burning effects. Don't use gasoline and don't use rags. It's not the way you do it. It's not the way you do it. He stated he wanted to kill all the Zionist people and wish they were all dead. He stated he would do it again. He stated that he hated the Zionist group and did this because he hated the group and needed to stop them from taking over our land. I was about to say our land, which is Palestine, because I was about to say, homie, this ain't your land. He had been planning the attack for years, waiting till after his daughter graduated to conduct the attack. Which, I mean, that's considerate. That's considerate. He does have a wife and 5 children. And, with that wife and 5 children, the government got very heavy-handed. And I don't think this was legal. But the Trump administration tried to deport the whole fucking family. Yeah. Yeah, he tried to deport the whole fucking family. Like, they almost accidentally the whole thing, chat. So a federal judge stopped the government from doing this. But yes, the wife and the 5 children of them, who are all Egyptian, were going to get deported. And the family was taken into custody. It's like, whoa, buddy. Whoa, buddy. Yeah. So Suleiman has been charged with a hate crime, and look at him there. Look at you now, homie. Look at you now, homie. But yeah, this is now he got here on a visa, and he overstayed his visa. And yes, it is his family's getting processed for removal. And yes, it is rare that the family members are detained and threatened with deportation, but yeah, they are yeah, the US government is now enacting Siepenhaft, guilt of the family, which I don't like. Like I said, guys, there's some things Trump has done that I like, things that I don't like. And one of those is this, renditioning all those guys down to El Salvador. If we need to jail them, we jail them here. Or send them to Venezuela. And this is once again another thing. Yeah. So they said, though, just like your criminal husband, they're here illegally. If they are illegally, deport them. But yeah, still, if they're here illegally, great. If not, I don't think you're allowed to afuera these people. So we'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens. Garrett says, fuck that, get them all out. Yeah, well, send them to build our moon base. Nero says they were here illegally, that's why they're being deported. I agree, but I think the government fucked up on how they went about getting it done. I think they were dumb about how they did it. So they're going a little harder there. Mike says, check the bottles. I bet the family fingerprints are on them. If they are, great. Get fucking rid of them. Get fucking rid of them. Chugi Show is saying, and we're ending with that story, moving on. The Chugi Show live for $4.99 is saying, sorry, this is off topic, but is Gabe intending to accuse Nick of SA as part of his proof, as part of his Nick liking the pedo anime redo of Healer? No. Gabe Hoffman has routinely and multiple times stated that it does not involve allegations of a sexual nature. There are no sex crimes involved. I'm sure that Nick is I'm sure all kinds of other shit, though. I mean, it's not sex crimes. It's not anything like that, chat. So, no. It just happens that Nick screams and calls everybody a pedophile, and he likes watching an anime where, young teenage women are sexually assaulted and put into sexual slavery and controlled by somebody, and, calls everybody a pedophile. It's a little weird. It's not funny, but very weird. Very weird. Very weird. Let's see here. EDW Raptor says for $5, it's not like they have anything better to do in the Balkans than SWAT people. I mean, they can remove the kebab from the Balkans. They can remove kebab. That's always their pastime. Malcolm Combs says most of eastern Washington and Idaho is wheat and other crops. Yes. Yes, it is. John Coleman, and most people wouldn't think that eastern Washington and Idaho is wheat and other crops. Yes. Agriculture is very big in Idaho and Washington. John Coleman for $2 says, if they destroy our corn, how will I watch Cornhub? I don't know. You have to suffer. Jesus Loves You for $5 says, Sean, this one is difficult. On one hand, he's hurting people. On the other hand, Jews. Yes. You're like, on one hand, he's committing terrorism. On the other hand, you're like, it's like Stone Toss says, you're yanking on the rope and you're pulling this way, and you're like, wait, who's behind me? Pulling on the rope. Unforced Ego says, YouTube keeps rejecting my messages, but imagine Ethan Ralph explaining that Nick Rekieta told him he could throw things at pro-Israeli protesters. Nick Rekieta said I could throw Molotovs at Jews. Free, bitch! Where Tiger Ray for $2 says, when will you reveal your Bankai? Never. Stacy says, what the hell anime is that? I don't know. It's something Nick really likes and was probably waving it around more than once on screen that he owns it. So I don't know. He's the one who likes it. FYI, the manga of redo of Healer was created by a woman. Well, that's still creepy. So that is moving on from that chat. We're getting to I think we're on to This is not the last. Well, this is one of the last stories of the night. Here we're getting to the stuff, chat. We're getting to the stuff. Okay, this is kind of straight out of Ozark, and it's because this guy is in the Ozarks. This is very interesting. I wonder if they're going to catch this guy. This guy has put the New Orleans jail escapees to shame. And a convicted murderer known as the Devil in the Ozarks has likely fled Arkansas after his prison escape, U.S. Marshals say. So a convicted murderer and former police chief has fled Arkansas. And the authorities have said that Grant Hardin escaped from Calico Rock prison in Arkansas by donning an outfit designed to look like a police uniform and was able to walk out of the prison. That is it's impressive. It's impressive what this guy did and how he broke out. So it's very interesting how this guy got out. I really want to see the prison uniform. They don't show it, which is sad, because I want to know how good it was that he could just bluff his way through the prison and get out. You're like, yeah, that's Tony Soprano. And Shredder's like, Hardin! No, guys, not that Hardin. No. Yes, he did a cartoon escape. Yes, he did. He did a cartoon escape. But yes, he is the former police chief of a town in Arkansas. And yes, he has been somewhere in the Ozarks area. He has extensive knowledge of the Ozark region. And he could be hiding in caves or terrain he's familiar with. He's like the Taliban, chat. He's like the Taliban. But this guy is on the run. I mean, he's been on the run for a while now, chat. He, escaping from prison. He got out, over a week ago. Over a week ago, chat. So, yeah. Now, that said, though, BORTAC, the Border Patrol, announced they set a special operations team. It says BORTAC is their tactical unit. Oh, buddy, those guys will fucking kill him. Holy shit, those guys are hardcore. But they did release a look of how he should look now, they think, after what he looks like after several weeks on the run. Certainly, they're thinking that he's going to be slimmer, and he's going to have a beard now. And this is what they think he looks like. See, AI, chat, they're doing all kinds of shit with AI now. They're using AI to catch criminals. But yes, he was eventually, he pled guilty to rape and murder. I guess he likes doing both. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison for murder. And while he was in prison on that case, the police matched his DNA to a 1997 rape case, and he got 25 years for each count. So he was never getting out. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, there you go, guys. Be if you live out that way, be careful. Be careful. There's you never want to do you never want to do that. Just be careful you live around that area. You don't want to run into this guy. He probably is an dangerous person who probably will try to kill you. So don't go after him. Let the cops kill him, and that'll probably be the way to handle it. I Take It Good says, these sexual assaults and prison escapes are brought to you by maf-arms.com. No, but chat, we do have our sponsors for tonight. We do need to get to real quick our sponsors who do need to show them some love here. We got the dragonstreasure.com, chat. The dragonstreasure.com. Use promo code criminal for 10% off all your coffees, teas, and soaps, guys. Help the team, man. Bust one out here. Do a big old month. Show him some love. He would greatly appreciate it. We also have maf-arms.com. Right, that's right, chat. MAF Corporation, your place for wind chimes. Promo code POTCRIM. Get you 10% off store-wide. Matt does have a new batch of NIG brand firearms from Turkey, the pellet guns that he brought in. So if you guys want one of those, check them out, maf-arms.com. Get yourself a pellet gun. And remember, chat, if you use the promo code and put in the subject line that you want him to do it, he will put a big old lipstick kiss on your invoice. And over $500 on your order, Ivan will do it too. Ivan promised me that personally. You know, when I said it, Ivan's like, Sean, I heard you say that. I definitely want to do it. So there you go, chat. And then last but not least, chat, Stoney's Bar and Grill. That's right, chat. At 158 East Broadway Street in Rockville, Minnesota, chat. Stoney's is your place to go, guys. It's the home of the $2.50 cans. On Thursdays, it's bike night. They got Wild Willie's Sandwich Shack is here today at Stoney's. And guys, I mean, it's a big weekend. It's a big weekend at Stoney's. Friday night, Crimson Edge is going to be there. That's right, chat. Friday night D-Day. You're going to have Crimson Edge at Stoney's. And then Saturday, June 7th, 2025, is the Ride for Heroes. And it's, you don't have to worry about your cops and your law enforcement. You don't have to love your military. They're not so important. No, this is for firefighters. This is for the Rockville Fire Department, chat. You don't have to worry about it. The firemen come through and knock on your door to save your life. They don't come to shoot your dog or plant evidence or abuse your rights. It's for the firefighters. We love our firefighters, chat. They do a good job. They take care of us. It's benefiting them. Registration starts at 10:30. The ride leaves at noon. It's $20 a person. You get food after the ride. You get free camping. I don't know if they're going to let you camp out in Stoney's. They might. You might be able to camp in the garage. I don't know. Camp on the still new to me patio. But there will be street dancing. And afterwards, chat, there will be entertainment provided by Hollywood Boulevard. So, chat, that's what you can do if you really want to do it. And Hollywood Boulevard, chat, if you didn't know it, they are the Twin Cities' premier rock and roll party machine. So get your ass out to Stoney's, crank your hog out in front of everybody, and get it out there, chat. It's summertime. Enjoy yourself out there at Stoney's. Serving Minnesota for 30 years. Did the firefighters lie like the cops in the Reed case? Good one, but no, most firefighters don't lie. Bob Johnson says, I got hepatitis C at Stoney's. Oh. Crimson Edge at Stoney's is why Harden broke out of prison. Yes. You guys are awful. Oh. Angela says, Naked Twister all night long. Yeah, well, you're going to be partying out in the street. Street dancing, I bet they'll let you throw down some Naked Twister there. 30 years of Naked Twister, yes. Has anybody seen the Desperate Filings by Hank Brennan today? No, Idaho Mom, I have not. And we'll probably cover those tomorrow. Now, chat, we are going to get to the two last stories tonight. This one's going to be very quick. The California bar exam, chat, we've been talking about that. It was a disaster in February. People weren't able to complete it. Things were going wrong. We're now learning, and you remember, you had to learn about this. Once it starts happening, people were admitting, oh my gosh, they graded the wrong scores. These aren't my essay answers. And remember, I told you, once they say that once or twice it happens, that means it happened a lot. Well, the Board of Examiners for the California bar, you know what they're just doing? They're saying, fuck it. Now we have to change hundreds of scores from fail to pass, which I think is only fair. At some point, it's a complete disaster. So, more than 200 bar exam test takers have their scores revised. Multiple lawsuits have been filed. And now more than 230 people have been told, actually, you passed the exam. And, you know, the state bar is admitting widespread technological, environmental, and proctor issues, causing unacceptable disruptions. I mean, it is, yeah, and it's, you know, and yeah, nobody's confident it was a valid and reliable test. Yeah, it was a disaster. And as such, no one can be sure that it properly tested the competence of practice law, that the exam would produce consistent results. Therefore, they had to change stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting what to do here. What's going to happen? I mean, this is one of the bigger lawsuits that's going on. Several test takers who had learning difficulties and had received legal accommodations were not able to have their accommodations. There was all kinds of problems, you know, and additionally, several test takers have been graded on someone else's exam, and 13 people have been told they not passed when they actually did. So, yeah. Yeah, so that's what's happening here, chat. And this changing of scores. So what do? Well, they did your first and second. They averaged your first and second scores. And the new policy assigns the higher of the two scores, which now help 230 people, and the Supreme Court doesn't have to approve it. So it's going to keep going. It's going to keep going for all of this. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, like, it's just, think about it. Like, how many of these people now are just finding out, oh, actually, you did pass all along? Like, it's going to ruin things. And people are going to say, did you take a 2015 bar exam? And it's like, are people supporting it? I don't know. And, somebody in locals being a bunny. This is so cute. This is a cute little picture here. Over on locals, Being the Bunny posted and like, look, chat, they're two little bunny wabbits, and they're just like, it's like they're sleeping. They're so eepy. Aw, so cute. So cute. All right, chat, moving on from there, we are on to the final event of the night. And there were some Second Amendment news that came up, and we'll start off here. Ocean State Tactical versus Rhode Island. It was a challenge to the magazine bans in Rhode Island. The writ of certiorari was denied. The writ of certiorari was denied. Only Thomas Alito and Gorsuch would grant the petition. So that means that Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett said, fuck y'all. And then from there, Snope v. Brown, chat. Snope v. Brown was the Maryland assault weapons ban case. It got denied. The petition for a writ of certiorari is denied. Alito and Gorsuch would grant the petition. Justice Kavanaugh also wrote about it. You're like, okay. And then additionally, Clarence Thomas also supported it. You know, it's like, well, what do you do? What do you do here? And here's the thing. So some of you are going to say, wait, I just gave you 4 names. Well, it's a statement of Justice Kavanaugh respecting the denial of certiorari. So in reality, it's not 4 who supported it. It's 3. Alito, Gorsuch, and Thomas. Kavanaugh was not involved. Kavanaugh did not want to support it, so it was 3-6. That means Roberts, Kavanaugh, Barrett, Sotomayor, Kagan, and Jackson all said no. And reading this, it's mind-boggling what happened here. So Justice Kavanaugh talked about the denial. And he talks about it. Maryland's ban on the AR-15 is about banning AR-15s. Americans possess an estimated 20 to 30 million AR-15s. Wait, why is this not going, chat? Yeah, 20 to 30 million AR-15s. And AR-15s are legal in 41 of the 50 states, meaning the states such as Maryland are an outlier. Well, you're talking a lot about this, so what are we doing here? And he says petitioners have a strong argument that AR-15s are in common use by law-abiding citizens and are therefore protected by the Second Amendment under Heller. And he says if this is true, then the Fourth Circuit would have erred. Okay, well then what did you do here? And notice, here's what he also says. In short, under this court's precedents, the Fourth Circuit's decision is questionable. And he says, although the court today denies certiorari, a denial of certiorari does not mean the court agrees with the lower court decision or the issue is not worthy of review. So then why are you doing this? Why are you not supporting it, Brett? So the AR-15 issue is being currently decided in the First Circuit, and that's where correct. It's in the First Circuit right now. It is Capon v. Campbell. There's also a case in the National Association for Gun Rights versus Lamont in the Second Circuit out of New Jersey. There's Viramontes v. Cook County, which is in the Seventh Circuit. There's Miller v. Bonta, which is in the Ninth Circuit. And then you have the New Jersey Rifle and Pistol Clubs versus Platkin. So you have the first, the second, the third, the seventh, and the ninth. And now this one they're looking at is the fourth. Look at that, chat. Look at all these circuits they have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we already know what's going to happen. What's the First Circuit going to say? Bans are okay. The Second Circuit's going to uphold bans. The Third Circuit's going to uphold the bans. The Seventh Circuit's going to uphold bans. The Ninth Circuit's going to uphold the bans. So each one of these, the bans have been upheld, and they won't do anything about it. He says additional petitions for certiorari will likely be before this court shortly, and in my view, this court should and presumably will address the AR-15 issue soon in the next term or two. Why not now? Why not now? That was the pussy move. Absolute pussy. Absolute pussy. And Mystery Sniper says they're waiting for a court split on the cases, but here's the problem. Like, what are you going to do? The Sixth Circuit, and there's no assault weapons ban in any of the states. I mean, there's only so many circuits you can use. There's only so many circuits we can do. Also, by the way, Mr. Sniper, happy birthday. Happy birthday coming up. I was told by some people. So guys, tell Mr. Sniper happy birthday. But when you look at the federal circuits, I mean, there's an issue. There's an issue with the federal circuits. So, I mean, here you go. Like, the Ninth Circuit, you know, I mean, like what are we going to wait for? Because here's the problem. The Ninth Circuit has said you can't do it. The Seventh Circuit has upheld stuff. The Third Circuit's upholding things. Boom, 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 boom. You know, this is going to uphold things. But you got to go up, like, supporting AR-15s. But the 11th Circuit, there's no challenge you can bring in the 11th Circuit. There's no challenge in these states. There's no challenge in the 5th Circuit. There's no challenge in the 6th Circuit because there's no issue there. Minnesota may soon, but Minnesota's still working on retarded gun laws. But overall, they're probably not going to get a challenge out of the 8th Circuit. The 4th Circuit, kind of maybe. I mean, Virginia hasn't gone full retard yet. So this one's still kind of like in the water. This one's still up in the air. And the 8th Circuit's still up in the air. The 10th Circuit, there might be one out of Colorado, but the rest of it's pretty good on what they're challenging. So it's hard to, you know, you're waiting for states to, like, people to get fucked in the ass. I just don't think that's going to work. Yeah, SCOTUS right now saying just suffer a bit longer. But that said, though, chat, what do we see? What do we see? Well, Uncle Clarence gets involved. And he starts off by saying Maryland is prohibiting AR-15s, the most popular rifle in America. It's difficult to see how their framework passes muster under Bruin. Remember, Chad, it's New York State rifle and pistol versus Bruin. And he says to start, AR-15s are clearly arms under the Second Amendment. And he says because they're arms, the burden shifts to Maryland to show that the banning is consistent with the nation's tradition of historical firearm regulation. And he says there's no analogs. There are no proper analogs. And he says, and because AR-15s appear to fit neatly within the category of protected arms, tens of millions of Americans own AR-15s. And the overwhelming of a majority do so for lawful purposes, including self-defense and target shooting. And they're citing a case here, Friedman versus Highland Park. Highland Park, Illinois had an assault weapons ban. And it was in 2015. And Clarence Thomas wrote a dissent for certiorari being denied. And it was joined by Justice Scalia. And he says the prohibition of an entire class of arms that is overwhelmingly chosen by Americans for purposes falls outside the government's power, going back to Heller. And he says the Fourth Circuit placed too high a burden on the challengers to show that they're presumptively protected. And Clarence Thomas simplifies all these analyses. He says the challenger need only show the plain text of the Second Amendment covers his conduct. Once that's done, it's the government's burden to show the historical limit on the right to bear arms. So he says it's clear you're allowed to carry a handgun for self-defense. And it's self-evident that a law prohibiting individuals subject to domestic violence restraining orders from possessing firearms regulates arms-bearing conduct. Yes. There are limits. And the Fourth Circuit tried to compare this to the First Amendment. Because there are limits on libel, incitement, threats, fighting words, or falsely shouting fire at a crowded theater. Yes, the Fourth Circuit used that as a thing, guys, as a real thing. But as Clarence Thomas says, when it comes to speech, the government has the burden of proving the constitutionality of the restrictions. And he said, we have similarly placed the burden on the government to show that the regulations fall outside the Second Amendment's protection. All the challenger has to do is show that an AR-15 are bearable arms. So what happens here? Well, he said there's problems using this popularity test. Because if the court performs its own independent investigation for utility for self-defense, examining their origin and firepower and muzzle velocity, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. This guarantee can't be subject to judges' assessments because if the judge determines it's not useful, you have no constitutional guarantee at all. And he says we've never relied on an assessment of how useful an arm is for self-defense before deeming it protected. And they say that the Fourth Circuit's most important objection to a common use inquiry was that it would lead to absurd consequences of like rocket launchers, rice and pellet firing umbrella guns, or even nuclear weapons. And here's where Clarence Thomas drops a fucking nuke. And he says, even if some nuclear warheads are small enough for an individual to carry, no reasonable person would use it to defend themselves. Still nuclear weapons, still less could nuclear weapons ever become a common means of self-defense. And he says, I cannot see how AR-15s fall outside the Second Amendment protection. He said, I would not wait to decide whether the government could ban the most popular rifle in America. He says, until we are vigilant in enforcing it, the right to bear arms will always remain a second-class right. And he brings up, this is more important now than ever after Vanderstock. Because all it is, the ATF could anytime declare AR-15s to be machine guns prohibited by federal law. So obviously Clarence Thomas thinks that could happen. And they say until there's a resolving of this, there is no constitutional guarantees at all. I respectfully dissent. So, chat, we took some big L's, guys. We took some big L's on Snope and Ocean State. And remember, these things had sat in conference for the better part of a year, just getting kicked around. And yeah. But chat, there was an update to this. There was a change. There was a big happening. And this is the happenings. The case we covered before, Smith & Wesson versus Estados Unidos Mexicanos. Yes, the Mexican government suing Smith & Wesson, Glock, Barrett, and multiple other organizations and other gun companies. Well, what happened? Well, they took a big, fat fucking L. A big, fat L, chat. A big L. So what happened? Well, they were arguing that the Protection Lawful Commerce and Arms Act, the PLCCA, while it bars lawsuits against manufacturers and sellers, there's an exception. The exception applies to lawsuits where the manufacturer, seller, or knowingly violate a state or federal law applicable to the sale or marketing of firearms, and the violation was a proximate cause of the harm for which relief is sought. So, the government of Mexico sued 7 gun companies and alleged that they had been aiding and abetting the drug cartels. And the theory of the suit is that they failed to exercise reasonable care to prevent the trafficking of their guns into Mexico, and therefore they're responsible. Now, they point out in the syllabus that theory implicates the PLCAA's general prohibition. So the complaint tries to plead its way into the predicate exception. And it claims they were doing this were willful accessories to the sale by the gun dealers and wholesalers they distribute to. And the manufacturers they're claiming would supply firearms to sketchy gun stores, and they have failed to impose the kind of controls to prevent guns going to Mexico. And they make design and marketing decisions intended to stimulate cartel members' demand for their products. The district court dismissed it. The First Circuit reversed. And what happened? Well, ultimately, because Mexico's complaint does not plausibly allege the defendant gun manufacturers aided and embedded the unlawful sale of firearms to Mexico, the PLCAA bars the lawsuit. So what happens? Suffer, Mexico! Suffer! Suffer! Suffer, Mexico! Suffer! Oh. Which is funny that Kavanaugh says, don't worry, guys. We're hecking getting onto things here. And what happened? So here you go, chat. Kagan delivered the opinion for a unanimous court. And remember, we listened to this. I said, guys, it's going to be a shutout. A unanimous court. Both Thomas and Jackson filed concurring opinions. Mexico couldn't even get the wise Latina to side with her people. She's like, y'all on your own. 9-0, chat. 9-0. Total Mexican defeat. So as we get through this, she talks about the basics of what happened here. And it just gets to what's going on and what ultimately can happen. Now, it's interesting because there are some parts here where they address the issues of aiding and abetting. And notice, chat, we're already up to like page 11 because this is all kind of like stuff up here before. And now the issue here about plausibly pleading it, plausibly does not mean probably, but it means more than a sheer possibility a defendant has acted unlawfully. And remember, I've talked about this before, chat. Iqbal is one of the cases there in civil procedure. Ashcroft v. Iqbal, where they define things in civil procedure, also known as the Twombly, the pleading standards. So aiding and abetting only works if he has not personally carried it out, if someone deliberately helps another complete the commission. So you have to do something. An aider and abettor must participate in the crime as something he wishes to bring about. As stated by Judge Learned Hand, probably one of the smartest judges never to be on the Supreme Court. Yes, a federal circuit judge. Learned Hand. He's a real guy. Notice they also cite the Twitter cases here as stuff to look at as well. So they point out aiding and abetting is a rule of secondary liability for specific wrongful acts. And if you want to indict somebody or charge them or believe that they aided and abetted a broad category, their participation must be correspondingly pervasive, systemic, and culpable. And aiding and abetting requires misfeasance rather than nonfeasance, meaning you actually have to do something rather than not doing anything. There's, you have to, is there a duty to act? And when no, then you can't. Sitting on your thumbs doesn't matter. And they point out ordinary merchants don't become liable for criminal misuse of their goods. Even if he knows some of the cases will misuse, it will occur. It's also Twitter. The merchant only becomes liable if he takes steps to promote the resulting crime and make it his own. Which is important here. They just go off and off and off on things here. And remember, with Twitter, the plaintiffs allege that ISIS used the company's platforms for recruiting and fundraising. And they're like, no, they didn't, though. But that's not really what happened there. But here are the problems. There are so many problems with this. And there's an interesting part of this, guys, that really is weird here. And it's, yeah, this is the part where, as much as I think this is what Kavanaugh maybe meant to say, that things will be working here. And they point out that the design and marketing decisions do nothing here because they say Mexico here focuses on the manufacturer's production of military-style rifles, among which it includes the AR-15, the AK-47, and 50 cal. But these products are both widely and legally bought by many consumers. The AR-15 is the most popular rifle in the country. And they say the manufacturers can't be charged with assisting in criminal acts just because the cartel members like those guns too. The same is true for firearms with Spanish language names or graphics, alluding to Mexican history. They say those guns might be coveted by the cartels, but they also appeal to millions of law-abiding Hispanic Americans. And they say, but the failure to improve gun design in any ways to make them non-defaceable cannot end the show that firearms manufacturers have joined both mind and hand with with lawbreakers in the way needed to aid and abet. But it's interesting here. This part, guys, this part is something that's interesting. Because we have official binding precedent. Now, you might argue this is dicta here, but now we have binding in a majority opinion chat, a 9-0 opinion, that AR-15s are widely bought and legally owned by many ordinary citizens. That's kind of a big deal. That's a big deal. That's a cope L, though. That's a cope W. This is a coping W. But it is still important to look at. It is still important to acknowledge that's something important. Okay, so that ultimately means there, what happens here? And they say Mexico's suit closely resembles the ones Congress had in mind. You're not allowed to do this. You can't sue manufacturers for downstream damage. And they say if Mexico's suit fell within it, it would. And they say if Mexico's lawsuit was acceptable, the rule would be gone. And they say because their complaint fails to do so, the defendant manufacturers retain their immunity. Therefore, it's reversed, and Mexico has to suffer. Clarence Thomas concurs. And yes, he says this is all correct. He says, I don't write separately to note the opinion does not resolve the plaintiff must show. He says the court should more fully examine the meaning of violation under the PLCAA. And it seems to me the PLCAA at least arguably requires not only a plausible allegation, but also a finding of guilt or liability and adjudication regarding the violation. Allowing plaintiffs to proffer the allegations would force many defendants to litigate their criminal guilt in a civil proceeding without the full protections we offer to criminal defendants. And these defendants might even include people who were cleared in an earlier proceeding. So for that, he thinks we need more investigation of this. He thinks this needs to be discussed further, but they decided not to do that. And then Justice Jackson jumps in. And she just says, my point is they failed to allege any non-conclusory statutory violations. And she says, because of that, it fails. It fails. And she says, this is exactly what Congress didn't want to have happen. And she says, in light of this objective, Congress's inclusion of the predicate exemption makes perfect sense. The exception allows lawsuits to proceed if the plaintiff alleges the manufacturers knowingly violated a state or federal statute applicable to the sale or marketing of the product, and the violation was a proximate cause for the harm. And from here, they say the exception might well be triggered by the aiding and abetting, but they say that there's some issues with this. She has a lot of concerns. And she says all that Mexico alleges that the firearms industry's wide practices through lawful and unfacilitated downstream violations. And Mexico doesn't tether its claims to statutory breaches. And she says, nor does it identify the dealers who would be the principals for any underlying statutory violations. And they say at the bottom, Mexico merely faults the industry for engaging in practices that legislators and voters have declined to prohibit. And she says because of all that, for public policy reasons, construing the predicate exception in authorized lawsuits like this would distort the basic design of the law. So this is a big L, chat. This is a big L still. But you know what? We got a little dub. We got a little baby dub from this case. We got a little baby dub. So we'll take it. We'll take it because that's all we got. That's all we got. Does the court at least admit Dracos are cool? No, Matt LaRosier. No, Dracos are not cool. And I'll die on that hill. So, Learned Hand sounds like a group of wizards, yes. Unlike Lawson says, somehow I did well in Civ Pro. I had no idea how. Well, congrats. HM says, Learned Hand was his real name. Yes. Yes, he was. Yes. Yes. So. Oh, P-Dub says Sotomayor's Puerto Rican descent, not Mexican. Oh, well. Yeah, okay. Well, close enough. Yes, this is like suing Budweiser for a drunk driver. Yep. Mm-hmm. Especially if the convenience store sold beer to a knowingly drunk guy. And they watched him drive up and he was drinking. And they watched him pull up and he was still drunk, got out of the car, bought the beer and got back in the car. Yep. Exactly. Exactly, chat. So this is the good news. There are some good Second Amendment news out there. So just keep your head up, chat. Keep your head up. Mexican Vader says about the rabbits must boop. That's right. There, you got a boop, chat. Another for $5 says, please buy Clyde some nice dog treats. Yes, we will. Bad Weather Biker for $10 says, so my Zastava M5966 is considered protected. Well, I mean, for right now, yeah, it's protected. Yes, your SKS derivative product is still out there. And speaking of that, I gotta get the guy. Somebody still has it. I gotta get a hold of that guy. I don't know if I still have contact info for him. Mark, if you're out there, get a hold of me. I'd like my SKS back. I hope you still have it. If you do, I could really get it back from you. Aaron says the government loves their monopoly on violence. Well, yes, they didn't. They wouldn't be a good government. Governments love the monopoly on violence. 12 Monkeys says how the other judges disagreed on Snope and Ocean State blows my mind. Yep. I agree. Catherine says, why haven't we talked about the 4 Memphis cops that beat that man to death and got off? Because I need to address that as its own thing. I think that deserves to be addressed independently. But she's referring to Tyree Nickel. He was the black guy in Memphis who got beat to death by a bunch of black cops who were acting kind of like scumbags and robbers and up to no good. They chased Tyree down and beat him into a coma and killed him. So we'll cover that as coming up here, Catherine. Mainly a lot of this is because just working full time and the Garrett Reed trial kind of sucks up all the oxygen in the room. So, but I appreciate that. And like I said, it's something we'll be working on here. Nothing like a 50-foot putt for an eagle. Oh. Mike is saying that portion you said was crucial for saying ARs are public use or whatever. That specify it's for Hispanic Americans given opening for anti-gunners? No, I don't think so. Not at all yet. That blind guy says, what year are you? I just graduated a few weeks ago. Well, congrats. Congrats on getting through law school, man. You're studying for the bar? Good luck. Good luck. I don't know whatever I can give you for advice or encouragement, but my email's down below if you ever feel like you're completely screwed and you're panicking and you don't know what's going on. What I can tell you is generally you know more. You're smarter than you know. And you're probably okay. That's all I can tell you. And once you get there, don't worry about studying too much. It's too late. Just relax. That's my best recommendation for you. So that's my recommendation. Let me see here. Torg of the White says, did we cover the discrimination lawsuit that got adjudicated today? No. But the Supreme Court also ruled that there is no really reverse discrimination. It's all discrimination, and it's all governed by the same standards. So there's going to be a ton of white people filing lawsuits going forward, basically alleging basic discrimination. I can't wait for this to destroy the video game industry as we go after all the purple-haired women, womans out there. All the purple-haired lesbians are going to be on suicide watch. No, there's only so much I could squeeze in tonight. That's probably going to be something for this weekend as well. Blaze says, have I seen the Proven versus the McNally lawsuit? I thought they were just talking shit. I didn't know they actually tried to sue McNally. McNally's a security and lockpicking expert, and Proven is a lock company. And they claimed he's basically kind of defamed them and harmed their business by saying their locks are shit and that he lied about how he picked them. No, I'm not. I didn't know that there was an actual lawsuit yet, but I know that was something they were going off about. Oh, it's Steve Lato. And somebody here saying Steve Lato says people talk about him in school. Well, nobody's talking about me in school. Let me tell you that much, chat. You don't have to worry about me, chat. I haven't made it big yet. Oh. Yes, trillions of discrimination lawsuits. Yes. Oh, no, Runkle covered the filing today? Oh, okay. Well, I'll take a look for it. I didn't know there was an actual filing yet. Spoilers, the lock is shit. Well, the problem is, like, if you want a really good lock, you got to spend a ton of money. Most padlocks and keyed locks and, locks you can put on a, you know, your storage unit. All that does is keep honest people honest. Anybody who wants to break in will be able to break in. Most locks are super easy to pick. If you guys have never seen McNally before, he is a YouTube channel here that the guy does some hilarious shit with his lock picking. So this is the guy here, McNally Official. This is his channel. And, you know, he shows you how to pick locks real quick. He also goes to like these... He'll go to these bridges where people will put their locks, like a couple will put their locks on a bridge. And he just goes up and starts picking the shit out of them here. These are fucking hilarious. Here you go, chat. Well, a lot of people left their combinations together. He's good on security.
2020. This is...
So, and this is true, chat. With a lot of these locks, just merely striking them will cause them to open. But for some of them, you can take a pop can, cut it, and make a little shim and pop the lock as well. It's very easy to pop a lot of locks. Remember, it's meant to keep honest people honest.
If you're feeling squirrely and you've got one of these 90 Alpha Pros with bidding that's sad, you can use middle of the keyway tension in a shallow profile and just kind of jiggle it open. If you have one with more aggressive bidding, you can start in the middle, set most of the pins, and then switch to top of the keyway tension. Most 90 Alpha Pros can be opened with a short hook. For training, use top of the keyway tension with a medium or deep hook.
And he sells lockpicking equipment, which you guys can buy and practice on. Be careful if you don't live inside the United States. It might be illegal, but you should be able to own it here in America. Don't walk around with lockpicks, though, chat. It's never a good idea.
Crayon flavored beer. I remember this ace. My mother was there, actually. She was holding an umbrella for me, and then I stuck my pick in. This one should be fun. Nope.
You see these in the wild a lot, or?
Yeah.
Yes, and he has talked to lockpicking lawyer before.
This one feels like it's got a spring wrapped around the core.
Did I show you what happens when you put Astroglide in a lock?
Yes, it's possible I wrapped the spring around the core.
The meaty, fleshy...
Lucky police didn't come by.
Love actually is all around.
I love this one.
Love actually is all around.
And he's just like, nope. Lock, taking it. So he shows you how to, and like he just opens up locks. That's part of his job. And some of these are pretty funny. Some of these are pretty good where he throws his little speed square. Let me see here. Where are some of the good ones here that he's done? Yeah, here's a good one. Yeah. You do like that he does some trick shots too. It's kind of funny. So yes, Suffa lock manufacturers. I always open padlocks I don't have keys for with a screwdriver. I have heard that too. Yes. I have heard of people being able to do that. Removing the shed hinge works every time. Well, there's that too. The ones where the package box is what he is getting sued over. Yep. And I think that one is, which one is that here? It's probably one of the most recent ones he did. Yeah, here we go.
First, we need to open the box to get the box. So here we have the box that came out of the other box. And we're going to do another episode of 5-Minute Crafts that.
So yes, they did say we currently have a lawsuit against him, which I don't think is true. I didn't know was true at the time. But yes, all the lies he has made, he is saying that their shit sucks. But anyways, here you go. He shows how easy it is to pick their locks. And this is actually a very common way to shim locks, chat. If you've never tried it before, I have tried it before. It works. It takes some practice, though.
Take less than 5 minutes. So first we have the case, Liquid Death, in the original packaging, so you know it wasn't tampered with. Oh, yeah, you can't do that with the Beach Bull McCroy. All right, here's the lock. We'll make sure the key actually opens the lock, or make sure the lock operates. Yep. Sometimes they don't. I'm not saying this particular brand, but it's happened where I've gotten a brand new lock and it doesn't even work. You can still pick it though, which is interesting. So anyways, cut the top off, put a slit down the side, and just cut a strip out. We're going to round it out. I'll remove this side because it's messed up, and you don't have to do that. I'm just doing it so I don't lacerate myself on a aluminum shim. And that's it. You don't have to measure anything. No science, no math needed. Just going to shim it into the back. Make sure we're fully seated behind the latch. Give it a few pumps. There it is. First we need to open.
So there you go. That is how he did it. Yes, the can method works epically. Yes, if you have like a regular padlock, you can bust them open with cans. Shimming the pin is cheating. Yeah, well, it's something you can do all the time. I guess you have to have a hobby. Lockpicking is hilarious. Part of their lawsuit, he made specialized shims. Well, I'll have to take a look at the lawsuit here coming up. So. The trick is he drank all of that liquid death. Yeah, I've never had that before. I don't know. People like it, I guess. It's not my thing. So. Anyways, chat, we are all caught up here. Johan, I get. Oh, God. I hope he files an interlocutory appeal. Boo. All right, guys, we're done. It's 12:15. We got to land this plane and get it all done here. On 2 hours, yeah, that was about 2.5 hours. We kind of messed around a little bit here. Thank you guys for sticking around. Over 400 people watching. We are back at Karen Reed tomorrow night, 6 p.m. On Saturday, we've got, I got to figure out some planning, but we've got a bunch of stuff we are going to look at. We're going to possibly be looking at what's going on with Destiny. We've also got some updates in the Smash JT Alyssa Mercanti lawsuit. We're definitely going to be doing that. I'm kind of torn between Destiny and Chili DeCastro because Chili DeCastro is back, chat. He's filing some of the most retardedest lawsuits ever. And if you guys don't know Chili, you'll learn about him. You'll learn to love him. But if you guys are OGs in the channel, Chili DeCastro rides again, and he's going after everybody. So we will take a look at it. So with that said, guys, remember until next. Oh, Canada is this weekend, Formula One. Actually, hold on. No, Canada's next weekend. Sorry. They're off this weekend, Formula One chat. No Formula One this weekend. Mofolk says it's just water, still sparkling with marketing. I know, but I still just don't. Yes, McNally's company is called Covert Instruments. Yes. Yes, good. We don't need a F1. Yes, get your chili trifold. is the trifold a quadfold. Unlike lawsuits, why did Chili come back? Because Chili's an idiot. He won't stay away. So anyways, guys, we are all done. And I will see you guys tomorrow. And remember, until next time, just because you did it does not mean you're guilty. Unless you're spraying down Zionists with gasoline, or you're smuggling shit into, you're smuggling fungus into America. Don't do that stuff. Don't do that stuff. If you're YSL, you're definitely not guilty. So guys, Karen Reed, day 28. We will get to that tomorrow. Everybody take care, and I will see you guys over on Locals. Remember, promo code Summertime 2025, and I will see you guys then. Good night, chat, and take care. Where is? Hold on. Why is it not working here? All right, here we go. Good night, chat.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws, tips on hunting, and even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops, even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just 'cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty, but please talk to a local attorney. Was that the fat guy Rick hated yelled at? Why, yes it was, he even knows he's fat. For all this fun and more, there's one place to go, here on Sean Martin's Potentially